That didn't work out right. All right. So, do you remember how we looked at if you go back to that video where I talk about how the floors are poured second? That first we have the concrete columns, then the floors are poured second. But yet we have the NIST um, images showing that they're poured integral. Now, let's go to. So this is the one there where we see the column sticking up, or the rebar, etc., and then the floor is separate. It's kind of got a lot of stories to tell here about different ways this thing was poured and built. We come to this image here. We know where we are, right? We're at the pool. See the pool deck above. So let's do the data stacking first. So we look at the data here. We know we're at the pool. We see the columns. We see no scratched off numbers here. Well, because it's nothing came down around it. It's still there. We look up here. You can see the deck is not deflected and tiles are in place. So, and that's right above this column 30, parking spot 38. We'll call it the column 38 for our reasons, right? So once again, so I gave you enough information already if I was to stop this video for you to go from there and figure out what you're looking at. But I'll dive into it deeper. So here is the tile not popped. And then here is that layer of the tile is added last, was added at some point. And then here's that layer. That layer was added for the tile bed, or they call it a paver bed. They call those pavers the tile bed. It looks like it tapers off down here. It looks like it tapers off thin here. So it looks like they had some the water runoff was accommodated with their tile laying. With that said, again, would that not be the engineer that did the tile laying's fault? They're not running this water off, and how come there's no waterproofing between this is the question. Since this was added last, this would have been a repair. With that said, I also saw ponding that they talk about, which means that water's not penetrating. So when you see that ponding areas that they're all talking about, well, you're just showing me a waterproof area, not an area that's well, mostly a waterproof area. It's ponding. I think he says something like it has to evaporate. So you definitely told me it's waterproof at that point, where the ponding is. But down here it gets a little thinner. This is that joint that it was supposed to have steel through it. Here, here, and here, three waves. Huh. What do we have here? We have the head of a column. Now, I want you to imagine this being square all the way up to here. This is not this is not torn away, ripped away. It is there. And so now look at here. Look, this is those little ears sticking out. This was the other ear here, and this is the other one. So here's one. Let's do this. Let's screenshot it. And I'll push it off to the side a little bit. Actually, I can use this one. So we'll do this. So this one like that, right? And then here is this one like this. That one you see there? Delete it. There it is there. So it went like that. Here's the column in the middle. And there's a back ear. So if we looked at it from the top, it would look like we would see two here and two here. Apparently, we would see none coming. We would see none coming at us this way, this way, this way, or this way. It's so weird that I haven't found that four-sided reinforcement. Now, let's delete that. Bear with me. So now we have, you see these two pieces, this piece here was up here straight. So this piece was right about here and turned out. Delete. So it was right about here and turned out. This piece here was like this. But it came all the way up to there and turned out. Let's do that. Let's correct the location of it. So I need to come up to the underside of this deck and turned out. There's this piece here. If you could bend it back up, you would be in this layer right here. See this layer? See how it peeled away, and there's the rebar that's following it also. But it would be up there. And then as this fell down, as it was torn down, pulled down, it deformed, it pulled out so easily, as you see the pull out, and the marriage was broken. So now let me get rid of this. So this video is to talk to you about, to show you that how that rebar works there, so you can visualize it and see how where it was in a deck, to show you that the columns and how the reaction happens. So some of this, to break this deck, this part of the deck, shifted forward. It didn't just rip down like this one did. These are parallel. Remember how you look for things that are parallel. So these are pretty much parallel with each other. You see that direction? In this direction. Maybe I can do that a little different. And at one point, this one released, and then this kept going. And so so I could do something like this. Oops, delete, delete. Great. Yeah, it doesn't understand. I want to grab it. There we go. So so as you see, that's parallel to there, and no longer parallel. So it's parallel to there. So right about there is where this one fully released, and then this one kept bending over. It took over, delete, right about there, and then made it. There's a secondary bending moment there when that one took over the rest of the forces that held on and released. This shifted again, so this shifted forward. So now you see your back deck. What's going on with your back deck is how it shifted forward. This tells you it didn't shift backwards, it didn't just go straight down. So this part of the deck shift forward. You can see the ears, some of it came down. So how would it come down like that and then release? Is there anything else parallel with that? Well, let's look at this piece here. This piece wraps around. This is that steel I talked about some time ago where I said I'd like to see some steel across the top of this. Well, remember I said that this had, I'm looking for some ears that go 4 directions, like that. Well, those are the ears, but this would count as that direction. If I could put this steel back up where it came from, I'd put it back in. Oh, yeah, this is going to be tricky because that wants to move. I'd put that steel back inside here. This steel here, because it's on the other side of this rebar, I would put it that it was up there. That it was embedded in there going across. And as this deck came down, you see it now? See the steel? So that would be that steel there. And as it ripped down, it tore this concrete off. This steel here was going back into there, this steel here. So that steel is below this steel. See the cross? See how this crosses? And then this crosses? So this steel that you see here was embedded below this steel. This steel is on at the top, and this is the lower steel. This is where it crossed. And as it came down, it pulled itself down, but it rolled across that steel. As you can see, this rebar here rolled across that steel. As it broke off, left and right, this then had this steel here bent this steel over. Probably this steel here bent it because it's loose over here now. See how it's loose this end? That end's loose. It bent this steel a little bit more out of deformation than probably from the release. So this could probably set this back. This shape here. I could probably, if I don't count the steel pulling on it, I could probably turn it. This doesn't turn. I could probably turn it back a little bit, that some of this was pulled down, maybe back to there. And it almost puts it about parallel with there when they both released. I just want to show you how I stack the everything, how I stack it all in my little coconut, and how all of it gets stacked up and how my model works. Now this is why I need Blender. My cardboard would show you this, but I'm afraid that they're going to steal and make a bad version of it in Blender, and it's going to, on their copycat versions, and and it's quite affecting. Uh, you know, my plagiarism is not something I feel proud about. I don't. Some people tell me, oh, it's a good form of it's a compliment. Yeah, that's. I looked up plagiarism. It doesn't actually say it's a compliment. I think, no offense to you people that think that I know we've been a lot of lies we've been told as we grow up. One of them is somebody plagiarizing you is a good compliment, and I heard it before. So you have to realize it's sort of like you being robbed, and I tell you, oh, that's a good lesson. That's a good lesson. You're like, what? You're like, what? I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, it's a good lesson, and I just leave it at that. Now, if you're going to tell me it's a compliment, you need to balance it by telling me, and the person needs to go to hell, the person that robbed you. But the way you're leaving it is it's just a compliment that they took your data and ran with their own product and ran with it on their channel. That's a compliment. It's not really a compliment to me, and most people don't find that a compliment. That in fact, fair use law says it's okay to do a lot of things with fair use rights, rather fair use rights. But the one thing they say you can't do is just take somebody's shit, which falls under plagiarism. And that's what it is. So I'm sorry if a couple of guys don't like, as one guy said, my whining. Well, you can unsubscribe. Part of my content is I said I do psychology in the brain and everything else in my video on the message there. If you don't like this part that's intermixed because it all matters, then don't watch my content. But in construction, psychology counts. The people that had to work there this day when that crane fell, there was a lot of cursing and hollering going on up. It wasn't no kumbaya. Let's all get together and do it. There were people saying, "Are we getting paid? What's going on here? Are we still on the clock?" There was a lot of psychology going on about I got kids to feed and things like that. That's the same thing with this and lack of rebar inside here per the detail. It was about money and everything else, and money comes down to people wanting psychology again, people wanting money, the greed. It's psychology and everything. When you go to your doctors don't fast. You don't say, "Hey doc, you're a good doc." "Oh yeah, I'm a good doc, but I had 5 patients die last year on me. I could have figured it out. What happened was I gave one guy an OD, too much drugs. Yeah. Another one, no. The doctors aren't forthcoming. Sorry for my doctors that are watching me. They're not forthcoming of their mistakes. And what I'm bringing out is that um, a lot of this thing one of my videos may point out engineering failures. In this case, we can reach back in time and find that since the engineer had to sign off on this, he's responsible for it all. This required reinforcement inside of it. Now, could he have changed it right then and said, "I decided there's no reinforcement required"? And in hindsight, 40 years kind of shows that he was kind of right. But he was wrong because the details said it should have been in there. Unless you can find the plans to show they're not. Now, neglect, repairs, concrete. This marriages, as we know, marriages are terrible, right? They take a lot of damn work. And there's always some problems going on. Well, this concrete and steel is a marriage like that. It's never designed to work. It is never going to work. It's always going to fail, the concrete and steel marriage. Because all elements want to go back to, it's like me giving you a cardboard box and telling you, I want you to keep this cardboard box for 100 years. You can't guarantee that, can you? 10 years maybe you can show me the cardboard box, even 20. But we know that cardboard box pretty much like the newspaper is going to go by way of crumbling apart and breaking down. Because what's true to nature or creation is that we're just elements, and we all want to go back to our basic elements. That we're designed by default to go back to our basic elements, whatever is made of. So all the elements that made this steel are ultimately seeking equilibrium. They go back to where they came from. They're not seeking to stay together now that they've been made. Now, it'd be nice if you could make an element that's like loves each other. That would be a new element altogether you made. That would just be like some super element. But ultimately, everything has a shelf life, a half life, or something's gonna even radiation is going to has a life cycle that even it goes away, right? And that's supposed to be something really, around for thousands of years. But yet even it is predicted to die away. So this marriage is not a great marriage. The marriage of their steel and rebar. But this isn't why this failed, because of the deck pulling it down. So this marriage was still good. This marriage is right here. It still looks good here. It's up here looking good. Now I don't see any water penetrations there. That would be one of the, based on this, this would be one of the closest spots to where water would be. I don't see this all soaked and drenched in water. And yet it's down there with the thinner cross section. And the cross section here is larger because it's thicker out here, and they tapered the water off to the middle of the deck. So I don't get some of these comments about water running, the water pooling, and all of this. Yeah, there was some water coming through there, through the cracks. Any crack should be addressed. I'm not one of saying some cracks are okay. All cracks should be addressed. They should always be monitored, figured out why they developed, and go from there. I don't have that. I'm not the one that says everything it'll crack. It's not a matter of when, if concrete will crack. It's a matter of when. Nope, I've seen concrete, 100-year-old concrete not crack. So I don't believe in that. The concrete is by itself is an awesomely stable product by itself. Adding the steel is when we get rust jacking and everything else. And I got a video for that coming up of a bridge that I photographed with all this product coming off. And that will help you see that in this case, this would tell you that when the steel was open to water, water's major. I mean, the concrete, water's major in breaking down this marriage. And so do we see a broken marriage here in 29 and 30? No, but we claim that water's everywhere. Everybody's looking at the ceiling. Okay. So, but this didn't go down there. It went down first in the garage area. And I don't want to give away more of my details of that, so I'm going to have to keep quiet about that. But I thought I'd come to here and show you how this developed, how I evaluate, and how I look at each one. And I want each one to tell me its story. Each individual column will tell me its story. And as it tells me its story, I will know what the other column tells me its story. I'm going to be careful here. But each one will tell me how they interacted. Because remember, you get nothing for free. This was all connected. So everything related to each other. It all related to each other. It all was married together. And it all broke up in an instant divorce like that. Do I go down as far as these? I do. I'm still looking for data on the to make sure. So that's plywood. I'm still looking for data on the if they're going to do any core sampling of the soil around it. I do expect that there's going to be a recession of soil rather below the concrete pad, because the cracks I saw in the pad in the garage, they're usually indicating that you got soil expansion and contracting, and then the loads from the cars cause the cracking, and the rebar takes it up from there. So I do expect that there'll be some soil. I mean, it could be deep too. We could be talking about a foot to 2 feet to 3 feet of missing soil under there. If you go back to one of my videos, you can find it where I'm doing a garage with a sledgehammer having fun. That had in a garage, a regular house garage, a recession of about 3 feet. It's because they didn't compact the soil. I don't know what they did here if they compact the soil in this area. But I'm going through here because I want to show you the marriage. So this, we have a nice marriage. We have paste around here. This is a slightly rusted showing. So the marriage didn't really work there as well. But out here it did. And here we have a lot of friction probably helped this marriage here, because we see that we've got a lot of rusted rebar. Now, it would be nice for them to do a pull-out test. Now that this pulled out here, we already know, though, this rebar inside here withstood the deck pulling apart. It pulled out of the deck. And that's what I wanted to show you here, is that this is part deck And so here's the deck up top. Forget this overlay here, this added, right? This overlay. Am I in the picture? Yeah. I'm in the editing software, yeah. So forget the, let's go here. So this is the tile. This is the overlay for the tile mastic, whatever they're going to use, mortar mix to do that. That's the original deck. And then on top of part of the original deck is the head of the head of this. And over here you see the rebar sticking out, and then there's the rest of the deck. So as we look at my hand over here, the bottom of the surface was here, and here was the top. And this was just added, but the bottom was here. And as we shift this over, you can see that this was a full pour. Concrete was poured from. Let's make this clear. So original deck concrete was poured right at the tip of my fingers, the very top, to right to the underside. So right at the very top, there's the underside of the deck, right about here. I think we're looking at right about here. You see the plane of it, right about there. If we look at the back side of it, so they did the column, and then they poured the column was poured. Then in this one, they poured the deck for the heads of this here head of this deal had this much as the punching shear protection. So I saw on the other channel that guy, he says he's new to engineering. You guys gave me a link to him. Let's bring this up. And some of you guys don't like me talking bad about other engineers. That's not what I'm about. If you look at his channel, he talks about what he thinks a professional engineer is. There should be a professional witness, he said, represents the lawyer. And the lawyer's thing, well, that's not what it should be, should it? It should be just giving the facts, because you guys asked me, would I make a good professional witness? Of course not, because I would let the data speak for itself, and if someone gave me a good option to this, I would go, yeah, that's optional. Yeah, that's definitely possible. So no, I don't make a good professional witness, because anyone coming up with a good possibility, I would have to explore it. I'm not for hire in that respect. So this guy does these evaluations and calculations, he said. For one, he doesn't know where the steel is placed on here. For two, he does not know how much concrete is on top of here. This is the punk shear protection right here. This is what we're looking at here. The punk shear protection is only this little bit here of concrete cover. So in the tributary area between here, you see that this is our punk shear protection. Just this little bit of concrete here. And I don't know if it's 8 inches, if that's only 4 inches on top of there. But it's definitely not 8 inches, because I see concrete below it. I see the concrete missing here, carved out, this piece slab here, it presents as, carved out and missing around this guy. So we go to, because everything's fair game with me, you know that, and so I want to bring this fair game up. So what is so I go here because you guys send me the link. And if you didn't send me the link, I would leave them alone. But you guys send me the link. So when you send me the link, I research before I open my mouth. He says that he's January 9th, he started as a professional engineer doing expert witness. Listen, expert witness. So you guys listen to what an expert witness is. So this discredits, I'm sorry guys, I'm just going to be blunt about it. He discredits himself in this video. So you got to be careful of who he discredits himself serious all the way. Now his channel was originally about software for engineers. That's it. And all of a sudden now he becomes an expert witness. He went from what software and let's do this. Every day's all right. So let's be fair. So let me back you up with the data first. So his channel says,
hi, welcome to my new channel. In this video, I'm going to give a brief overview.
Let me pause it. Engineering Tech Mentor. Now, it looks like that's what he did. Look, Engineering Tech. Look at all these videos. Tech, software. And all of a sudden, this comes about, and what a couple of you subscribers told me, they come out of the woodwork now to make money on this, to increase their channel and make money on this collapse. And this is what it seems like to me also. He went from there all of a sudden to there. But way down here I find job update, first week as an expert witness. And I'm like, oh, okay. Before that is money saving tricks for beginners. Uh, salaries in the UK. Um, dealing with failure at work. Engineer's perspective. Confessions. Oh, that's going to be interesting. We'll do that one together because that might. I'd rather do this one because then I might have to eat crow over here. So let's do this one, and then let's see. Let's see if I got to eat crow over here. This will be nice. I'd rather do it that way because I'm that way. So let's see. I hope I have to eat crow. That'd be kind of cool. Just because I like people who can change their position.
Everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm just going to give a little update on my first week in the new job as an expert witness. So for anyone...
So I know you guys are trying to read him, but remember we're dealing with culture and he's looking down at the camera. He says expert witness. I know he's closing his eyes a lot. We know that that's like not good, but let's try to overlook that at this time. But it's going to be very hard to overlook these tells when he starts saying what he says.
He doesn't know what an expert witness does. They are essentially hired by a lawyer to claim against or help the defendant fight a claim.
So he just said help the defendant fight a claim. He said that's what an expert witness is for.
And the claim could be, from something like if a building fails or there's a structural failure, a defect, and basically anything which went wrong. Could be like program or cost. As an expert witness, you'll be looking into how or why these went down and if they were
how or why
were reasonable to help defend a claim, for example. Essentially, it's the expert's job to find out exactly what went down and help the lawyers out with a report. So the first day in the job, as you know, UK, that night, everyone got put on lockdown, or the lockdown was announced. So the first day I was allowed to sort of go in and get my IT stuff and get some induction work done. That was pretty much it for the first day.
Hold on, I'm trying to find it.
I probably got introduced a little bit into what an expert does. I was given a couple of reports to read that day and also the day after. So just moving on to the second day, I had those two reports to read. One was called an advisory report and the other was a proper expert report. And I was given these two just to see what the difference were, like in the start, not in the...
I think it's only fair that I let him state it, and that's why under fair use laws, I'm going to let this go this way. Even though I know he can't do anything about it, because it's still fair game, fair use.
Necessarily the style of writing, but an advisory report is done early on in the process, but an expert report is when it's deemed that the claim is sufficient to pursue or defend.
I claim.
And that's when you write a really big
I'm being
report.
fair, so go on.
But the advisory report is just sort of the expert witness's initial opinion. So I was just kind of reading them both. So I was been reading these two reports for day 2 and also had some introductions with some of the other team members in other offices. So what I'm finding out about these reports is that they're written in the first person, which can be very different to how a normal engineering report is probably written. And also, what's really interesting about these reports is they are your own opinion, and these opinions will need to be justified by fact-finding and through just like engineering research.
Okay, expert opinion through your opinion and your opinion, not exactly something that's quantifiable, right? Besides your opinion and some math that you create. You create the math on it. For example, I'm stating that he's wrong on his evaluation of this structure, and I'll explain why. But first, I wanted to let you hear that he says he's an expert witness now. So let's jump forward.
Even though you're hired by either the client or the defendant, say a contractor, to defend the claim, your duty isn't actually to them. It is to the tribunal or the judge or the courts, essentially. Even though you are hired by the client or the contractor, your duty isn't necessary to them, even though they're paying your bills. So it's really important that what you say in any report is your own opinion. And what I've been told is if you're in a position where you don't think a claim is very strong, it is your duty to tell the lawyer that that the claim is not very strong and that you probably should drop the claim, because you wouldn't be able to defend your position in court or at a hearing if you were asked. Like if the evidence is weak and you were questioned on it, and then you go to a hearing and it becomes apparent that that really isn't actually your opinion. Like if what you say in the report is embellished to say, and then at the hearing they find out actually that's not really your true opinion, then the case will just get thrown away and you'll lose. So it's really important as the expert witness to be independent and make sure that it is your own opinion based on your engineering evidence. So day 3, I was introduced to a project which I'll be working on, and it's a really, really big project.
Okay, so you heard that now. It's your opinion, your opinion, your opinion, your opinion. It's always IMO, in my opinion. Now we go to, so then we go to this now. Hold on. So you guys sent me that link. All right, so I got that. Then you sent me one more link. You guys did, and well, you sent me all 3, but I think it was, well, I'm confused. Okay, let's hear him stating on himself. This part.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to give my
this will be the surprise.
Perspective on the Miami condo collapse.
Here's a surprise.
For those who are new to the channel, I'm a structural engineer who's recently moved into the forensic engineering side of things. So hopefully my views on this tragedy will be somewhat...
Back it up. Right there again. You guys already over with 15 seconds into the video. Listen.
I want to give my perspective on the Miami condo collapse. For those who are new to the channel, I'm a structural engineer who's recently moved into the forensic engineering side of things.
Who's recently moved into the forensic side of things. Okay, so he just said he just recently moved into it. So he's getting his feet wet on a building. Listen.
So hopefully my views on this tragedy will be somewhat insightful for some. Okay, so let's just dive straight into it. The 2 things which pop out to me straight away is the location and also the fact that it's a basement structure, or it has a basement structure to it. And the reason
Alright, a basement structure. Okay. Alright, so let's back up now. Now we go to, you guys send me, a lot of you guys keep sending me the links. I keep getting sucked into this link.
So now moving on to the slab detail.
So then in this video,
to make sure that
he talks about the slab details and everything else, right?
Foundation level or the pile cap level, we've got the basement slab.
Let's wait for it.
And this framing plan is basically showing us the reinforcement that they're planning to put into the slab. I didn't realise at the start until I found a note on a different drawing, but basically all these bars here are additional bars in the top reinforcement, and there's basically a bottom mat of reinforcement that is added throughout the slab. So moving up a level again to the lobby area, this is where we've got the swimming pool in the bottom right hand corner. This is shown on the architect's drawing. So if we move to the engineer's drawing on the same level, we can basically see that there's a void, but dashed line is the wall below that. So moving down to the foundation plan, we can see that the swimming pool is supported off these piled.
So he has the plans in front of him on his channel where it says 1110 and 1110. Now he's moving into the forensic, he said. Forensic means you got to pay attention to every damn detail, right? Every detail. No detail is too small. It doesn't mean like he thinks you're just hired to just support, your client. If you can't support him, you tell him, I can't support it, so you're going to lose this one. No, forensic means you're going to be honest about it. You're going to dive into it, every single detail. This is the 1110 deal, guys. Remember? 11 foot 10, 11 foot 10. It no longer has the BMA in it. The beam's gone. This guy is a structural engineer. This is what the problem is with a lot of these structural engineers. They just keep doing the same detail mistake, and one after another. And they're disrespecting the plans and how they call for the elevation changes. And yet I gave tips and hints in many of my videos on this about the BMA, what's a BMA, and I sent you over here many times, my way I do my false flag stuff. Over here, what's 1 foot 6? Oh, that's rebar over here, rebar in here. Yeah, I made a mistake. It's rebar. And I go back to BMA again, and back to BMA again, and back to BMA. And then finally, I just said in one of the videos, I said, look, this BMA over here, if it was present, it would have pushed against the wall over there. I gave that as one of my tips. And I was hoping that one of my engineers on here would say, "Oh, wait a minute, that BMA's intent is to hold up half the deck here and half the deck over here, the parking garage on this side and the deck on this side." Aha! When they made the elevation changes of 11 foot 10, from 1010 to 11 foot 10, they got rid of the BMA, and they did not, we don't know how the steel is really because they destroyed it all, that they changed the whole steel profile. Okay. With that said, we go back to this guy's videos. I'm sorry, this is the way it's got to go, guys. So we go back to his, really? I thought I had his tab open. Right, oh yeah, I'm in his tab. All right, so we go back to his, forget that. That's enough data right there, right? You can watch his content. We go back to his videos, and now he's now done calculations, he said here. This came to me today. You guys sent me the link. You know who it is. Whoever sent me the link.
Design something. We have what we call a code of practice, and every country uses their own. In America, we use ACI 318 for concrete structures. In the UK, we use the Eurocode 2. When we do our design, we have to apply a load. So there are fundamentally two types of loads that we apply to gravity design, dead and live loads. The dead loads are loads which we would consider.
We talked about the dead loads, right? So here it is, he does his design, and he doesn't know the steel. He doesn't know how much concrete cover, the punk shear protection that would be on here. But yet he's going to give some evaluation, and it's 1976 code anyway, per the drawings. And he looks like he's born in 1976, so per the drawings.
Carpets, tiles, or the ceiling. The live load is what we call a variable load. Load for the loading we use in the UK
so
is
now
5
let's do this.
to our designs or
let's fast forward.
They are there to cover construction. It does not. So what this compliant does not mean under normal.
Okay, so here's a pool area, and over the column area, this is right down that path there. He's got the stresses there. Well, after the fact, you have confirmation bias. I don't know what calculations he put in here, but if we look at the drawings, the spacing and all, his spacing seems a little odd to me, and he has the ledger missing over here. This changes with the ledger, how it's anchored in there, would change the profile of this, of the loading of the deck, punch shearing. This changes because he put columns out here and just has this deck free floating. This is not. So if he was presenting this in court, it would be easy for a lawyer to say, well, so tell me, the deck stops on top of these columns. And he would have to say, no, it goes over the wall. Over to the wall. Oh, so it's a overhang over to the wall then. How come it's not? No, it's not an overhang over to the wall. It's supported in the walls with rebar. Oh, so you ran calculations on your own deck. And you made up your own deck, and now you're saying this is how your deck would fail, not how this deck would fail. This is what I'm trying to say. I hate to be the guy that talks bad about other engineers and all that. But you guys, we got to realize that you're getting data and you're believing. The laymen are believing these engineers out here that are coming forward saying that, how they first put their halo effect out there, which means they give their qualifications. And then you guys automatically believe them. Come on. Really? It's terrible that these guys keep doing this. And it's for whatever reason they're doing it monetarily, I would guess, instead of just giving some good data out there. These are just... This presenting here, this would be a fire mode. I'd say we can't afford to have this mistake made by this person. They would be fired. They would be fired. I'm like, you can't even keep. You're too new. You're too much a virgin. Go back and learn. Go back to school. Go do whatever you got to do, but get the hell out of my sight. This is craziness to leave out the whole. This changes the whole load path. You cannot do this with that way. Now, the halo effect again. Remember, everything's deals with psychology. And this is why it matters with this, because when you hear, and this will get here, when you hear the halo effect is the
halo effect.
Halo effect is this tendency of positive impressions of a person's company, brand, or product in one area or positively influence one's opinion or feelings in other areas. Halo effect is the name given to the phenomenon whereby evaluators tend to be influenced by their previous judgments of performance or personality. A halo effect is a pretty person giving you the same data as an ugly person. the same exact data, you'd want to go for the prettier person. It's just the bias we have. It's just it. We expect knowledge from an older person, things like that. Now, you expect when someone says they're a professional engineer or engineer that they're going to give you data that's like, oh, that's solid. I just got it from God. God just spoke. No. As you saw in the beginning part, it's his opinion. And so, therefore, you look for the defects in his opinion. The defects in his opinion on this is that he doesn't have the structure map properly. First off, it's missing the entire wall system. He said you had live loads and dead loads. How thick are the tiles? You just saw, I showed you in this video, how it thins and thickens out. So the profile of the punch shear protection, the critical zone that one, I don't want to take from one of my viewers, a lady who figured it out awesomely. So when I said figure out the tributary zones and the critical shear zones. So
use or loadings.
Listen.
So what went wrong? The channel Building Integrity has done a good video explaining in depth the punching shear failure.
So they've got a good depth of punching shear failure. So he reaches over, halo effect. He then reaches over to sharing. It's called triangulation. It's a form of trying to give yourself some qualification behind your statement. So you say, instead of just saying punching shear on your own, you triangulate going over to someone else and say, look, they said it. And so, but of course we know punching shear, he said way after me, this guy was into the damn roof.
And reviewing the concrete core samples. So feel free to go check that video out for more information. What I want to talk about in this video is what caused the degradation that led to the slab.
Alright, so he says go check out that guy's thing. If you remember, I've already, thanks for that word, I keep it up there, somebody who gave me that word. If you remember, this is him talking about post-tension. This is the guy that he's so worshiping, and so worshiping. There he is there, because I got tired of you guys telling so many viewers telling me, and I had to delete so many of them, telling me, oh no, you don't know what you're talking about. This guy over here says he's a forensic engineer, and it was post-tension of the roof, and he let his viewership go up from 1,700 to many thousands before he finally deleted it, because he knew it was false data, or he would have kept it up. There probably were the post-tension, that he's claiming post-tension went through there. It's rebar, reinforcement, as it's being ripped down. It's in the lower part of this concrete. And it pulled beyond this wall. In doing so, it broke part of the wall here. And that's part of the wall you see where it just knocked through the studs there. Right. Okay. Let's look at the imagery. So here's where he's looking. It's notched through there as this rebar. Let's see if I can fast forward a little bit to where he's talking. This is rebar. This is what blowouts look like. Let's go back to where I think he's talking back here. Let's see. I'll go back in the video.
Building that is remaining, and you can see these lines in the ceiling.
Okay, I got to stop. You see, he's referencing the lines in the ceiling.
These vertical like stripes. That is where the PT cables actually blew the concrete out.
All right, so it's full of shit. You notice those lines. You see the lines. PTN stands for post-tension cables. Lines, right?
And you can actually see the cable ends kind of hanging.
So he calls those the cable ends kind of hanging there. So it blew it out, and the cable ends. So he calls himself a forensic engineer again. And this debunks the other forensic engineer that says he's just getting into it, because he doesn't know that this guy, he's following the blind leading the blind. The post-tension cable all broke evenly right there. You're looking at the ends, how they all broke evenly. Or, as I stated, it's the steel cables, and they just pulled out, and that's what you get whipping through the plaster ceiling or block wall there system, and out it goes onto towards the ground. But and I'm correct, they're wrong.
Hanging down.
And I don't believe those are cable ends. Let's go fast. Down. Go one more time. Let's go find more of this. So I show you about post-tension cables. Let's go to my video. And I show you that with the ribs on them. So I got trolled so hard by people telling me. So I grabbed the real rebar
out of a structure.
and I posted it, and I said, look, this is what post-tension cables look like. It's a real post-tension cable. Came out of a structure about the same age as this one. This is what they look like. Rebar and them don't look alike. Now I'm going to show you rebar.
Not brand new. Just came out of a very old, an old structure. Not to be confused with reinforcement, that is rebar. This is rebar.
That's
See
rebar.
rebar with the ribs on them? Okay.
All right, so then we go fast forward, right? So this is where he's so proudly talking about his post-tension cable, and this is where the failure happened in the roof. Now he made it clear the failure happened in the roof. He did it immediately. 35. He went from 800 views to when somebody sent me to look at him to 1,700 when I finally made the video to 35,000 people. It's the halo effect. People believe it, and they don't do that. In other words, and if you remember, I said I would just use this video and it's gonna stay up to debunk him anytime he comes forward and as a professional witness. They could use this video going, hey, wait a minute, you can't tell the difference between post-tension failure or rebar failure, and you called it as a roof failure with post-tension cables. Here it is.
He does. Where the hell is the drawing?
So I think I do it.
He does a drawing and tell you where the post-tension more than likely connected, and etc., and all this other crap. All right.
Where he says in zone 1, the cables are connected here, and how they come down, then it's caused the roof to fail.
All right, let's just jump into it now. Let me debunk them real quickly for you guys. And
so there is no post-tension cables in there. This is what I talk about. This one.
Now, look at the material that's right below it. This deck.
So what I'm driving at is that this guy, this new young engineer, if you will, is jumping into forensics. He's following a guy that it says he's forensics, and neither one of them can do forensics. They can only do general, I can see what I can see. It's you guys do a greater job. You know who does a greater job, at least, and I don't like him, obviously, is the guy that steals stuff, the one that runs around. He was doing great until he stole his stuff. So he started, stealing ideas, and then that's plagiarism. Because he was all over the place, but at least he was
be careful.
At least he was backing up his craziness
like
with his craziness, and he's allowed to do that. But when you steal from me, whoa.
And then you can see that on every. So the first image is of.
And so many people, wonderful contribution to the public's knowledge.
Like stripes. That is where the PT cables actually blew the concrete.
Okay, so there
it is there. 1.77 thousand subscribers as of June 26, 2 days after it. It was like 800 when they first did it. 2 days after. Now you see where he's at now? Because of the halo effect. The psychology matters. That's why I said I deal with psychology with my stuff. The psychology matters. And you need somebody like me to debunk the crappery from people like him with his post-tension stuff, or like this other guy saying he did load calculations on it. And yet his load calculations cannot be true because they don't represent the structure in its full form, nor does he have the details of it in its full form. Now, he only has a few subscribers right now, but they're jacking off on this. They're hijacking this collapse. I want to do something for you that. They're hijacking this collapse to enhance their channel. You're saying that they're forensics guys now, whatever the hell they are. But you show the one guy is just pretty much computer software, and all of a sudden he's crossing into this, and then using the other guy who says it's post-tension failure from the roof. It's a roof collapse. And I said initially that it was the column collapse, and we get the engineers on the news, obviously older, experienced guy, who says, yeah, he thinks it looks like a column too. Clearly, when you see the video, anybody with forensics can say, this is a column down low that caused this. And then that's when I did my video saying, I think it's the column over here that buckled down here somewhere. We just need to know why it buckled. And it all came down. And then we had the testimony come out that people were saying they made phone calls and all that. I'm like, well, that's not possible. You can't make a phone call during that quick collapse time. Then it turned out that that it is possible because the pool deck went first, and it was 7+ minutes later thereabouts before the rest of the structure collapsed. So yeah, so so we do get they said the pool deck, but then when I looked at it long enough, I said I think the car deck area collapsed first, and then the pool deck, and then that's what I stated in my video. And then the witness comes forward and says, yeah, car deck collapsed. They saw the car deck go down and then the pool deck. Now I'm going to hold off on my jealous wall video because I don't want that to be part of someone else's content that they digitize and then make $5,000-$10,000 on. You bastards. Mike Bell, you bastard. You plagiarizing bastard. Anyway, that ends this video. I just thought I'd give you some, since you guys want it more, this is what I can give you. I can give you things like this without my final. I can give you the educational videos. I can point you, I can still debunk the other people that I should be done. I'm not going to debunk the people that mean nothing. I'm going to debunk anybody that steals my data. I'm going to call them, and I can't debunk them if they steal my data, right? That means they're proving they got my own stuff in it. So I'm not going to debunk that. I'm debunking. I'll talk bad about them for plagiarizing me. All you got to do is ask. All you got to do is ask. Ask. That's all you have to friggin' do. You know, where are we going here? The guy that builds condos, barndominiums or whatever. Him and I are supposed to get together and do something. We never got around to it, but I've shared a lot of stuff with him. So the collaboration does take place. I do collaborate with a lot of professors. I do collaborate with anyone that wants to collaborate with me. That's it. But not if you want to collaborate about something crazy. And if you do, just realize I'm going to probably be the one against you on your side. I did delete a few of you guys that wanted me to collaborate, saying, "What do you think about, explosions and all that?" I already went down there. I already visited that with you guys. We already talked about that. But I want you to see here that guy's calculations, he's wrong. The pool goes over further. The deck goes over further. That this is the part that really counts, is head. And I don't know how much we can count depending on how much tension this can take. It'd have to be put in the compressor moment, this whole sample would. And then you could probably maybe, I really don't know. This would be a tough one because it's got a tributary area. It's got a lot of craziness. How much do you count the extra cover added? How much counts against it in dead weight in the tributary area? It's a nasty. It's a as I call it, some chaos mathematics that would have to take place there. I would say you would have to monitor it based on deflection in real life to see if you nailed it or not. And any deflection, you didn't nail it. Any deflection, and you did not nail it. All right, what else can I add to this before I terminate? This is critical here, this part. And again, halo effect. That's what I wanted. The halo effect in psychology. So is when one assumes that a good-looking person in a photograph is also overall a good person. That's it right there. The error in judgment reflects one's individual preferences, prejudice, ideologies, and social perceptions. Come on, we can face it. The model-looking girl, she looks attractive. We all think that she's a great person that died. We don't know her personality at all. We don't know it at all. It's just a halo effect. It does work. I show up in a suit. It works every time. I show up in looking like a bum, like I like showing up a lot of times like a bum, and I might have to I still just let my data talk. I don't give qualifications most of the time for that. Now, if it's another engineer there, I quickly jump in right into that, and that's about the size of it. So, and then they're like, oh, and I usually have to tell them I'm on hands because sorry, I love, the building of it. I love the idea of the formwork of this. I wouldn't want to put away all the formwork, but I wouldn't mind building a few of these formworks that would be kind of complicated and work it out to its finally detailed where it's like, this is the perfect formwork to do this one in. Do it on the floor, do it on the ground, stand it up, brace it, call it a day. Done. But of course, there's rebar that has to go in the cage first, so I would always try to think of something faster. It's called economy of motion, is what I think of. Economy of motion. And once I finally refined it, I'd walk away. It would be no longer a challenge. It would no longer be any fun. It would be done. I use super plasticizers in my concrete. It's the epitome of concrete installation using. It's just beautiful. You got to go that level, guys. If you want to go to the next level, super plasticizers. Yes, you're going to have to do a learning curve on it, but you're going to get the strongest concrete, and you're going to get a flow that's crazy. You can do all five slump concretes and pour it a 7 or 8 if you want. And you're like, you can't do a 5 and an 8 at the same time. It will perform. It will spread like an 8. It will be liquid. It will be just so beautiful, but it's really only a 5. You've got to trust me on it. I'll do videos on it. I've got some concrete on Tuesday that's got to be poured. I'm going to go on hands on that one. I think I'll do a video for it, and that's going to be maybe a 7.5 slump in Super P, Super Plasticizer, but it's really going to be a 5. So it's going to be a 5, but it's going to look like a 7.5. It's going to flow like craziness. You're just going to kick it with your boots, and you're going to be like, you can't be real. It's crazy how it will look like that, and then it's a time on it. It's like a clock. The weather Tuesday is going to be about 80 degrees though, so it's going to be a little bit longer clock. But I'll take the longer clock, and you take a little more patience for your initial set. So you'll have to wait, and then you still do it. You still have an initial set, but you have to wait for the Super P to fade out, the chemistry to die, and then once it dies, your concrete's setting, and then that's when you got to get on it. All right, we'll talk about this in the future. And hopefully you understand now that why you guys sent me to his channel and why I have to now talk bad about him, because he's just a babe in the woods, just like that Bi guy is. You guys call him Bi now, so I just call him Bi. The Bi guy is. They've all missed this. Not one of them mentioned this. I don't want to. It's not my job to teach them. They don't want to learn from me because they've already presenting themselves as experts and not. And so when you're already presenting yourself as an expert, I'm always learning. I am not an expert. An expert is somebody who can't learn still. I'm always learning. So I don't find that I would be a good expert, but I'm always learning. Thereabouts parallel, this cover. So there is the head of that. That's your punctures section, somewhere probably around here. Your protection, and I can tell you exactly what it is, but I don't want to give it away because it's in my cardboard models. But I'll give away this. Is that this is how deep I get into it, and I heard that what's the name's going to try to debunk me that I got my information from somewhere else. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. That'd be an amazing video to prove that, because it won't be true, because I deep dive into this by myself like this. Now. So I'm the only one right now presenting the heads of this. Now you're looking at the true head dimensions. I gave it away in the secrets before when we show the NIST site, the dimensions of the floor. Some of it is full. Some of it is not. Some of it looks like this. Yet some of it is full depth. It's a very intriguing, interesting, complex interactions of puncturing, protection, and interactions. That it lasts 40 years is awesome. It could have gone on for many more years had they number one, had they respected that this deck was trashed, that the report said you're dealing in a total deck. That in my opinion, my thoughts, and what you guys have said also, after we posted about the other dolphin thing, how come this wasn't supported? That's my question. How come this wasn't supported, structurally supported, since you were going to replace it anyway? How come they didn't jump on that immediately with supports? Well, it appears because, again, back to psychology, the parking was going to be a long-term parking issue. Once they started on this, they had overflow parking. They were going to park on the grass, etc. And it appears it might be something as simple as I'm going to talk plain here. F it, like curse, right? That's the word I'm trying to use. There's probably F it. We need to support it immediately. But you can't convince somebody of that. In the real world, it's like, well, no, we'll wait. We'll delay that until it's time. That's what really takes. But we have to delay the inconvenience of parking for some time. Look at the reports how it says parking and overflow. So in real world construction, we can't get them the inconvenience yet. It's about they're going to need their parking. So let's go ahead. Let's get yourself ramped up, get things set up first and all that. But if you put those supports in there now, they're going to lose all their parking. You're not ready for it. Let's work on the roof first. That's probably something like that took place. Or, it's totally trash, but the person literally didn't see that it could pull down the building. As I stated in other videos, couldn't see that this collapse, this failure, since it was totally trashed, they couldn't see the collapse mechanism, even though they sort of knew it because they had to replace it. Because I know they weren't just replacing this because of leaky water. They were tired of water dripping through here, right? It was structurally serviceable done. So doesn't that imply that the deck is at failure mode? I mean, I'm definitely confused with the messages I'm getting here. All right, take care, guys. And love you all. The haters, I wish you just unsubscribe. Stop watching my channel. Go learn from that new guy, the young kid. And go learn from the buy guy, and go learn from the tool guy. Those guys welcome you. I don't welcome you. I don't even want you to have my information. I love that you're ignorant. Just go over there. This is I want intelligent people only. I'd rather keep my numbers down, all intelligent people. I'd rather have 10,000 intelligent people than 300,000 followers that just worship me. I don't want worship. No. I want you to challenge my formulas here. I want engineers to challenge me. I want engineers not to be scared of me because I don't, unless you're attacking me, I don't attack back. As you saw, I've cut a few engineers I talked to and everything. I'll challenge me on this. Tell me that my puncture calculation is wrong, that this didn't need the extra thickness of concrete. That puncture value, the values didn't go down because this is thinner on top, and it's down here. Challenge me on that. I would welcome that challenge, and if it's awesome, I'm like, that is awesome. I didn't see that. I missed my formula. You are right. You get a you are right video and a correction video. I can do that because I put the position out there that I can change. Thank you.